let's go back to our master screen, and we're going to just talk through some of the, we'll start right at the top left corner and go through some of these. So in our, first thing you see in the top corner is the System tab. Let's talk about a couple things in here. First thing at the top we see is Diagnostics. So if you're ever having a major problem with your board, as in not like, hey, I can't get sound to come out, but like there's something like really wrong, you would come into here, because if we have to contact Digico about an actual problem with some piece of hardware or a software problem, they're going to want to say, what does your diagnostics say? So we're going to come in here to diagnostics.
If any of your status lights are red or show an error, this is somewhere where you're going to be able to come and find a little better knowledge of what the issue actually is.
You can trace down what you're actually having a problem with. So first thing to check would be check your connections, make sure everything's plugged in the right location, plugged in properly, stuff like that, and then you would come back here and check diagnostics. You probably wouldn't have to be there very often, but that is there if you have a serious problem, and if you call me and we can't figure it out, I will say check your diagnostics type thing, okay? We can close that out. And back in that system menu, we have some of the reset buttons. Talk about those: reset, effects engine, surface, etc.
So if you are experiencing an issue with your surface or with the audio engine or with your like your effects sends and returns just aren't working properly, you can come in and you can actually reset all three of those items. Resetting the effects engine shouldn't affect it'll affect your audio to your effects, but it's not going to affect anything else. Resetting your surface is only going to affect the surface itself, and then resetting the engine will affect your audio, and then...
So the audio engine is the part in here, the part of the computer in here that's actually processing the audio. So if there's some sort of glitch or something's jamming up or freezing or whatever, you could try doing that. Probably not a very common occurrence. Maybe resetting your surface if you're having a fader that's sticking or it's kind of glitchy, you might do a surface reset, which you kind of reset all that stuff. And again, audio is going to continue passing. You're just not going to have control over it for 2 or 3 seconds.
And then you can also reset the actual computer interface, and your audio will still pass on that. It's just restarting the Windows computer.
So whatever the last state it was in where you made an adjustment, it's going to keep that while it does a whole reboot, but it's going to let audio keep passing. So again, if there's a problem in a critical situation, we want the service to continue on without being interrupted while we can kind of diagnose and assess and get done what we need to get done. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, so that's the resets. And then let's talk about the quit to Windows. What would we need that for? When should we do that?
So quit to Windows is there for you to access the more technical side of the desk. It's there to you can put
software
updates. You can do your templates. You can live in there. That's where you would go to do more of the inner depths of.
Yeah. So again, this SD9 software is just an application running within a Windows computer that's inside of here. Okay. So by default, when you power it on, the computer is programmed to start that SD9 software automatically. Correct. So you only need to quit to Windows really if I specifically instruct you like to do a software update, if we've talked about that and I make sure the software is good to go, and like once it's released, I make sure it's clear of bugs. I might instruct you to do that for some reason. Or yeah, you should only really have to do that if you're directly instructed, go ahead and quit to Windows and do this process, not normally.
Correct.
And then shut down.
Yep. Shut down, end of the service, end of the day. You've saved everything. You were happy with your mix that day. You would go ahead and hit the shutdown. That's going to do like a normal Windows XP shutdown. And then you'll wait for your console to tell you it is okay to power off now. And then you can go back around and flip those 2 power switches.
Yeah. Great. Perfect. So that's kind of everything that we need to cover. Again, you're going to see some stuff in here that, hey, they didn't talk about that, they didn't talk about that. We're not going to cover everything in the desk. We're going to talk about what is most relevant to our teams, our situations here. If you have more questions or want to know more about that, we can certainly go through that through a Q&A, one-on-one trainings, or more in depth. But we're just going to hit the high points of what we need to know as our entire team to operate. So that's kind of everything we need to cover in the system. Next, we have the files menu. The first thing I want to cover here is the load session, which is what we discussed earlier. So by default, on any given Sunday morning, you would come in, load the previous week's session, make your edits for this week, and then immediately go ahead and save that as a new file so that you can continue working throughout today.
And as you save on what you're doing that day, you're saving on the new file instead of saving on
not overriding the previous. Perfect.
the previous weeks.
Okay. And then
That's helpful if you come up with an issue of a show file. It helps that you can go back several weeks and be like, okay, I didn't have the issue 2 weeks ago. What's different between that show file and this show file? Or what's changed in the room?
That's great. That's where we keep all those. And by the way, guys, there are people that have like 500 or more sessions stored in this, so you're not going to run out. I guarantee you, long before you get to 500 weeks, I'll have changed something globally, and we'll all be erasing our boards and starting over for something, okay? So